Well, I just want to welcome everybody today. Excited to get the 2023 fall camp started. The 23 season is upon us, so exciting time. Had picture day today, and we'll start our first practice tomorrow. So that's a lot of hard work has gone into this opportunity. So our guys are chomping at the bit to get out there. Just some updates on our roster. We have David Baker has received a medical hardship. And Cam Knight will be retiring from football. He just graduated here this past week. So also really want to personally thank Jay Wilkinson for his generous gift to our football program and to allow us to be able to create a football-specific area for weight training and conditioning. And so just appreciate Jay so much and his continued support for Indiana University and for our football program. So excited about the upcoming few weeks here, fall camp, which is always a great time for us to fundamentally improve and technically improve and to be able to come together as an offense, defense, and special teams to continue to build our football team. So ready for questions.
All right, Matt and Sammy.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I'm okay. I wanted to ask you, you guys, there's a video on the Twitter account about the thing you did with the program recently, the group that came in. Just your thoughts on, obviously what you want to get out of it and how you thought it impacted your team and your players, not just for this season, but for the future of the program.
Yeah, they do a tremendous job. When I first came here, something that we were doing with those guys for several years and brought them back. It's the twofold purpose is for leadership training and for team building. And just feel like with the number of new faces on our team, especially in some prominent roles, guys that were added in January, guys that were added in June, it just really felt like it was a good next step for us to be able to continue to build our leadership, increase our communication skills, and really just learn how to work together better. At the end of the day, the best team is who wins on game day, and being connected is a big part of that. So that team building piece is real important to me. I do know they work with a lot of the top programs in America and do a tremendous job and have for a long, long time. So it's a lot of feedback that they give to us, and they'll be continuing to follow up with our players and to continue to build on their leadership skills. And so that's really the focus of those two areas. And I just thought that it helps us, expose things you want to be able to continue to work on, and also just reinforce the strengths of your unit. And I really value their input, their feedback. We debrief with them at the end of each session and give our staff a lot of meaningful information to be able to help us moving forward, how to work with different guys and help to train them, to show them how to lead in a more effective way. So really powerful stuff. Thought it was awesome.
Sammy and Zach.
Good afternoon, Coach. How are you?
I'm good, Sammy. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. With the announcement of the football-only weight room, what advantages does that give you, either recruiting-wise, setup-wise, training-wise, that you didn't have with the previous setup?
I think a big area of focus has been to be able to have a concentrated area to eliminate distractions. I think that's where you want focused training. You want to be able to eliminate things that, we have a phrase, a distracted man's a defeated man, so just trying to continue to enhance that part of it and to be able to brand it in a way that it's football specific. I think that's really important, in recruiting and those kinds of things, just to show the importance of it. So to me, I think the biggest thing is the focus training, because that's one variable we want to do a tremendous job of developing our players from a nutrition perspective, as well as physically in their strength development, their speed, and to be able to grow as a player in those areas. So I think those things will stick out to me.
Zach and Todd.
I guess, Tom, following up on that, just, as much as there is one right now, do you have a sense for a timeline of when that will come online, when you can kind of get everything together, start building it, where it's going to go? Are there renderings, or is it all kind of in the very beginning conceptual stages at this point?
Yeah, a lot of beginning stages at this point, so that'll come in the future.
Todd and Jack.
Can you tell me how this the genesis of the weight room project, and then unrelated to that, can you just kind of give me a general overview of how you feel what would set a successful tone for the first week of camp?
Well, I mean, I think the genesis of it was just the idea of just wanting to be able to continue to build our program and the emphasis on the football side of things here at IU, and to be able to continue to invest in that as a program and continue to make things better. And that's what we're trying to do in that regard. And then, for a successful first week at camp, I mean, there's a lot of variables that you have, a lot of goals and objectives. Obviously we're trying to, continue to build the depth of our football team. We're going to even do some things different structurally in practice, increasing the length of some areas to focus on fundamentals and technique with our guys, and also be able to maximize reps, find a way to get more guys reps during our team periods, and have a structural change to do that as well. And so to me, at the end of the day, is to get as many guys prepared. You have your installation that you go through each and every day on all three phases as you go through and try to mesh with each other, offense versus defense in those moments, but also you're installing your scheme. And obviously with a lot of the new guys that we have that we're counting on to be able to, they need to be ready to play at a high level week one, to maximizing those reps, maximizing that time in both the film room, the walkthroughs, which are massive during the new structure of 2 days that we're in right now, where the afternoon, what used to be an afternoon practice is now an afternoon walkthrough for the first 6 practices, and then becomes a jog through the rest of the way from there. And so those are really, really critical reps that we have to have, and those practices are scripted and structured just like you're just not running during that time. So it's all mental reps to get their bodies a chance to recover. So just everything we do is just building our depth of our team, and to be able to get to the point where we execute at a high level. So obviously, when you start, there's all the new things you're going into that. Obviously, it's a lot of review from the summer and things we did in the spring, but this is the first time you've had this entire group together. So got to build off of that and got to create momentum each and every week.
Jackson Mason.
Hey, Tom. Just heading into fall camp, is there a position group that you feel has maybe the most open competition for playing time for the upcoming year?
There's several positions that with a lot of competition. I think just in lieu of the new faces, I think the one that probably sticks out the most would probably be the secondary, both the corner position as well as the safeties. I just think that with the number of turnover guys that had played for, several years here and did such a great job for us with those guys graduating and moving on to the NFL, it's really critical that we, find the top guys, and I would say that's probably the most. But you could go on. The defensive line's got a lot of new faces. Still got some guys competing on the offensive line. Obviously, quarterback competitions is very well documented, and the running back room, receiver would be another one. That sticks out to me just because of the number of guys we've added and getting Cam back, and so just trying to get that group flushed out. And then the tight end room. So obviously several positions. We got a kicking battle going on as well to see who our field goal kicker is going to be, and so just know that a lot of key spots, a lot of key competitions, but the one that I would say have the most new faces with the secondary.
Mason, then Mike Sheen.
Hey, Coach, thanks for your time today. I'm curious, going to year 7 for you of doing this now, these fall camps, is there some sort of, kind of experience or similarities and dissimilarities that you can draw back to that kind of helps evolve the overall experience of the fall camp for the guys?
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, you definitely learn and grow. The structure has changed so dramatically, since, several years ago. You just think about the way we operated, where it kind of went from the 2-a-day model to the, every other practice was a 2-a-day, and then you went to 1-a-days, and you had a 2-day schedule and a 1-day schedule, and then it came to where you just did all, single practices with the walkthroughs and jog-throughs, and now you have every 3 days, you have a 4th day as a regeneration day, which I think is excellent. But I just think you kind of learn how do you best create a model where you stress your guys and you allow them to develop at the maximum level between the heat to all the time demands that they have, and it's just focused on football to be able to also keep them fresh, because you want to be able to have minimal amount of injuries, and that's that constant balance of trying to figure that out. But I think the new structure helps a lot, from the studies that they came up with from the NFL and obviously college football for years, where practice 4, 5, and 6 is where a lot of those injuries would occur. So that's where the the 3 practice model kind of came from, and then you get a regeneration day where you lift and watch film, but you don't practice and don't go out and do walkthroughs or anything physical from that regard on the field. So I just think getting a good flow with that, knowing how many nightly meetings to have, something that can be too much and it becomes a law of diminishing returns. It gets a little negative because they just need a little bit of a mental break at times. And what do you do during those nightly meetings and making those very, very productive for your guys? And so I feel like we got a good rhythm of that, and want to be able to come out of camp and you want to play. Last year had a Big Ten opener again and had to play really good football right out of the gate. And so obviously with another Big Ten opponent coming up here to start the season, have to have that same outcome. And so just feel good about the flow from that. Obviously every year is a little bit different, but going to follow a lot of similar, overall counter like we did a year ago from a flow perspective. Obviously with the change we mentioned with some of the practice parts will be different, but the actual calendar piece will be similar. So I just think you just kind of learn how to manage the guys and feel best about getting their temperature for where they're at, and where their bodies are at, where their minds are at, and kind of giving them what they need to continue to press them when you need to pressure them and increase that, and also know when to back off and help the guys experience some growth at that time as well.
Mike and Ravi?
Yeah, good afternoon, Coach.
Good afternoon.
You've given us a good sense of kind of where Matt Bedford, Cam Camper, and Dexter Williams are at this point. Is there anyone else that you're kind of being cautious with going into the fall camp from a health standpoint?
We've actually we were very fortunate, coming out of spring. Those guys that you mentioned all were injuries that occurred during the season. And, like I said, feel good about what we've communicated with those guys and their development. Fortunately, we did not have any long-term injuries in spring or the summer, just your typical some soft tissue things here and there. So really don't have anybody else that is in that mode of just kind of be from a limited perspective where they have to be on a play count early on. So that's really those 3 guys are the only ones that we have. And like I said, we got a few hamstrings, things along some soft tissue things that you usually get, in the course of the summer. But even with those guys, feel pretty good about where they are. So, want to stay that way. Want to be able to keep our guys. Even just came from a meeting right now talking about hydration, how critical that is for your guys, and eliminating those soft tissue injuries, and the way we test for that and evaluate that each and every day. And it is a daily thing to make sure that they don't practice unless they have certain levels that they have to meet, from a hydration perspective. So I really appreciate our strength staff and our medical staff. They do a great job.
Ravi, then Mike?
Hey, Coach, how we doing?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
Good. Hey, as you start camp, what position group do you feel the strongest about, and what position group do you feel has been improved the most with spring or summer additions?
Yeah, I would say I'm really excited about, our running back room. I think that, and I get probably said about a couple of different rooms, but I really feel like that there's some maturity there that we've added. I think Josh has really just honed in on being such a strong, leader in that room. The way he handles his business as a pro, he just is such a attention to detail guy. He's gotten bigger and stronger and faster. And then with Jalen Lucas's development in that room, and then adding Christian Turner and David Holman's another young guy that continues to grow and develop, and Trent Howland, just guys that have been here, but expect them to all contribute. So it's a group that's got a lot of experience to it, but also some explosive guys in there, very, very bigger, stronger, more powerful than they were a year ago. So that group excites me. I think our D-line is probably the one we've changed the most by the guys we've added. We've added 6 guys to that room this offseason, and obviously had a lot of guys graduate, but just really physically looks different, bigger guys, got a lot more mass that we needed, and guys that have played Division I football at a high level. And so Power 5 guys, and then a guy like Andre is coming from the MAC level where he's got an opportunity to prove himself in the Big Ten. So I really like that room. And I include the Bulls in that as well, with adding 2 additional guys at that position group there, and the third one hitter just joined us this summer. So really feel like that's we know up front's a big deal. Add a couple offensive linemen as well that I'm excited about, that we know need to step up and help us, and with Max Longman and Noah Boltikoff, just guys that came to this program that are 300-pound guys that have played Division I football. So just up front's huge. We know that. It's a priority for us, but running backs really excite me, and then the D-line to me is the biggest change we've probably made in the roster.
Thanks, Coach.
Niz and then Seth.
Yeah, Coach. In terms of the quarterback battle, you've been around a lot of them, I'm sure. Have you found anything unique about this one as it's going on? And then after that, could you detail what structural change are you making that you mentioned to get more reps for guys? Just kind of curious how that would shape up during practice.
Sure. Yeah, I think, you're right. I've been around several quarterback battles at a lot of different schools over the years and several here since I've been here. I think one unique thing about this one, I guess there's probably two unique things. First of all, is that you got two younger guys, two redshirt freshmen that oftentimes may not have two guys that are in the same, age and they're younger, competing. I think that's a unique thing about it. And also just how well they get along. Sometimes there's just a natural tension. It's competition. Obviously, they're competitive guys by nature, by playing that position already. And then, but man, they've spent a lot of time together in the off season doing things together away from football and just have really developed a strong relationship, which I think is really important, and it's not always that way. And sometimes it's, it's cordial. It's what it needs to be, in front of everybody else. But I do think there's genuinely two guys that do enjoy being around each other, and they're two different personalities, but that part is unique without question. And anxious to see these guys compete every day. That's what they've been doing all spring and all summer, and now we get to do it here in the fall camp setting. And to answer the second part of your question was, the things we're doing structurally, just a way to be able to maximize team reps where we called it a two-spot method. Other places have used this, but it's a way to be able to get more guys involved where you have your staff kind of working in the middle, and then they one group goes, and then you have your ones and your threes in one group, and your twos and your fours in your other groups, and they're rapidly rotating. And so, but your coaching staff gets eyes on both groups. So one group will go, and then you turn your staff around, and they'll focus on the other group. And so, not to be in a rush. We're going to do a great job of coaching those reps and getting things corrected. But you get really kind of double the reps for guys, which is really what we're trying to do. Is that's double the amount of people, I guess, is the best way to say it. You're not going to necessarily have more reps for an individual player, but you're going to have more guys getting reps. And just think that's really critical when you have a lot of new faces. Got a lot of competition at several of these spots, some even 4 deep, which we've really not had here very often since I've been here. And so some positions are really in the area of having 3 guys that are really going to be working for a spot. But some it's up to even as many as 4. So just really want to give those guys a lot of opportunities for them to get those reps to develop and for our staff to be able to evaluate as best we can. So I'm excited about doing that, and I think it's going to help us a lot.
You haven't done that previously, then?
No, we've not.
Okay.
Seth and Alec.
Hey, Coach. You have a lot of new faces on your coaching staff, obviously coming into this season. Just wondering how you felt like your this staff handled the off season, both in terms of recruiting and in terms of building relationships with the players. And I guess where do you feel like you guys are all on the same page heading into this season, and just what you're looking for from your staff as you start camp?
Yeah, there's no question. I feel good about where we are. Obviously, you have a chance in the month of June. You get a lot of time, around here with our guys and with the new OTA structures that we have and the things we can do with them and during that period, and then even a couple in the month of July when the coaches got back from being away. And so I think recruiting is a massive part of their job, and to be able to evaluate, I think all 3 guys that we've added, with Bob and Matt and Coach Tuck. I think all 3 of them, if you look back at their history, they've done a really good job of evaluating and locating guys that you can develop. Guys that have certain traits that you're looking for. They have a track record of doing that, and that's something that really appealed to me in hiring them, because obviously we want to be able to do a great job of evaluating here and bring guys that can come here and be developed. And so it's definitely an inexact science, and sometimes you just don't know until you get a young man, in this setting and working with him every day. But one of the guys that can do that, and I feel good about where we are with that. And then also just how they teach. What kind of a teacher are they on a consistent basis to your current players, and building those relationships, because that's part of teaching as well, as you build that trust and you get to know guys and they learn to trust you, you trust them. And there's different levels of that and different ways to do that. You have to be true to who you are and within your personality, so you can be consistent. You can be you each each and every day. And but you have to do a great job of being able to, how can you articulate the techniques and the scheme things we're trying to teach, and how can you make it understandable for our guys so they can apply that and learn it, and guys have an ability to do that. So I feel like they've done a really good job of that during the spring and the time we've had with our players in the summer. But obviously now it's going to be real intense. So this is the most intense time we've had with our new staff, with our players being together. Springtime you practice every other day. Obviously in the fall it's every single day, and lots of meetings and everything from daylight till dark. So these next 3 weeks will be critical, and the three new guys that we've added, I think, are just going to make us better.
Thanks, Coach, for doing this. Kind of wanted to ask about things that you've done in the past. You guys obviously had a lot of success in 2019 and 2020 on the field, not as much the last 2 years. Is there anything in training camp that you guys are trying to do in preparation for the 2023 season that you maybe found success with ahead of 2019 and 2020 season that you feel like could replicate some of the success this upcoming year?
Well, there's no question. You go back and evaluate, and I've actually done that because you look at those 2 years and you say, okay, what was the difference between those two compared to the last two? And I think the two things that stick out the most was our ability to create takeaways defensively and to protect the football on offense. So that the turnover ratio, which is obviously something we've always emphasized, but we did a really good job of that in 19 and 20. And the second thing is we won close games, and we finished those close games out. We did not do that the last two seasons, especially this past season. Like I said before, we've had 8 games that came down to the fourth quarter and were decided in the fourth quarter. So really have addressed and went back and watched the games from those 2 seasons, especially 19. Actually 20 had some unique qualities to it for sure, but to get back to playing just team football, real complementary team football is really what we have to be able to do, and we did a really good job of that in those 2 seasons. And in both those years we had multiple quarterbacks that had to play, so it wasn't like that was a common denominator. We definitely stayed a lot healthier. There's no question about that when you go back and look at it, and I was reminded of that when we went back and evaluated those games and just seeing the continuity, at different positions throughout the whole season for both of those years. So finding ways to stay healthy was a big emphasis this spring. Obviously there's things that happen you can't control, but really making that an emphasis. Did a big study, with the NFL about soft tissue injuries and dealing with the emphasis on the hamstrings and just trying to really do a great job with that. So we're just trying to maximize ways to stay healthy, number one. And then number two, it's just really how do we get closer as a team? I just think those groups had the common denominator with them. I know with adding new faces, I get the challenge with all that, which is another reason why we brought in the program in to be able to develop, leadership and team building. That was the purpose for that. Haven't done that the last several years, but I thought we really had a tight group of guys in those 2 seasons, and I think that's very, very critical. And just being able to do some things in practice to be able to promote more, team unity and doing things together, even doing some drills and doing some activities, that simulate game situations to finish out drives, to finish out 2-minute situations, to finish out, the fourth quarter. I came up with the whole fourth quarter mindset we've challenged our guys with since the beginning of the semester in January all the way through up till this summer, and I'm going to emphasize it here throughout fall camp. So be able to win those fourth quarters and be able to do a great job of playing with more consistency is really going to be the focus.
And then we'll wrap up with Ken.
Hi, Coach. You mentioned earlier that Josh has become a big leader. Could you talk about his growth that you've seen from last season?
Well, I think there's confidence, just in being at a place for year 2. He's such a steady guy. He's so consistent, so dependable in every way. You just talk to the strength staff and just in his discipline in his diet and the way he's, put on a lot of good lean muscle mass, to create a, more of a Big Ten by which he's always had a good frame on him, but he's just kind of taking it to another level and just being able to, he's a quiet guy, but there's also the ability to lead that room, and to be able to be a great example. When you think about being a great teammate, it's doing your job, setting that example of being a consistent guy, and it's also having the courage to hold your teammates accountable. And I think that's something that just really he's growing in as well, and being able to, within that group of guys, to make sure things are right. And you bring in guys and you bring in new players to a certain group, and you bring in guys to that side of the ball, and he's able to be, hey, this is how we do it here, and just really feel like that he's just matured and grown in that area. He's grown his confidence and his ability to get out there, and I just think he's a guy that you can keep on the field. He's a 3-down back. He can catch, he can block, he can run, and I was able to just really do whatever he's got to do to help the team be successful and win. So just great teammate and great leader for us. Really, really proud of him and excited for his upcoming season.
All right, Ken, last one.
Coach, good to see you.
Good to see you.
How have you changed as a head coach over the years that will kind of allow you to find answers quicker during camp than maybe earlier in your career? And just how are you basically a better coach going into this camp than you were a couple years ago or in your first or second year?
Yeah, I just think that you know more what to look for, when you're trying to go through and find, certain guys in these competitions. I think that's a big deal because, identifying them, as efficiently as you can without rushing it to allow to get the best guys in the best position. I think even just, modifying how you practice to learn how to get you more ready for game situations, to be able to not be maybe as robotic about it, just more of a flow for what your gut feeling is, what the team needs. I think experience creates that for you, and you learn to trust that. You trust your gut. You trust on, hey, what does the team need right now? Do they need more of this? Do they need less of this? They need to be able to be tweaked a certain way, and practice longer, practice shorter. Whatever you think is going to best motivate them. I think I've learned to really connect more with the guys over the years. So I've always been a big relationships guy, but even just as a head coach, how do you do that with 120 guys, and in the course of a year is a big part for me to do that. And it just doesn't really happen in fall camp. It's already done before that in a huge way. But then you also add a couple of key guys that may have just gotten here not that long ago. So getting them up to speed is and it's just getting time with them. So I think more than anything, it's just the trusting of what you feel you need to do to get your team ready, to get them to play, really good football right out of the gate, which is what we have to do. And that to me is the result of our schedule and who we have week one. And so just feel like that allows me to be able to draw back. And we've got a lot of, I go back and look at different practice, sequences and study different seasons and see how that created a certain outcome and be able to draw from that as well. I think you just have that experience. And also you kind of know more what to ask when you talk to other coaches about certain things. So I feel good about where we are. And I love the plan that we have for this fall camp, and excited to be able to get in here with our guys every day and just roll up our sleeves and get to work.
All right, thanks, Tom.
You're so welcome. Have a great day. Leo.